the NFL broadcast. I'm Dan Hansis. I'm in a virtual world filled with some heroes. Greg Rosenthal, Mark Sessler in the suit jacket. That's how you know it means business. Boys, 272 games down, 13 to go. It's playoff time, baby.
Wait, where are you?
Chris, what's going on here?
It's like,
well,
come on, buddy.
if you want to bring attention to it, it's the weekend, and my bosses were like, come in for the weekend. I said, I ain't going to do it. And then they were like, oh, man, he's got the leverage. He's a star. Let him stay home. So you asked, and that's what happened.
You are a star. That is my takeaway from the 2021 season. Dan Hansis, superstar.
I mean, you also have that amazing parking space in your own driveway, too. So that's, it's these perks that you have on the home front. You just made yourself a nice cup of coffee, according to what we heard. Lots going on.
I'm literally trapped in my house, but I'm glad to be talking football with you boys. All right, let's get to it. Like I said, it's the playoffs now. It's 13 games. If you've watched us all season, you know we would go through all 32 teams over 2 hours. Now we break it down to an hour, and we dig in on every team that's still alive, including the 2 teams on bye that aren't playing this week. So let's get into it. We're going to go in order of how the games will be played this weekend. So let's start Saturday, 4:30 Eastern. The Las Vegas Raiders at Cincinnati Bengals. Greg, get us going, baby.
Yeah, I'm wondering with this Raiders team what they have left. Mad Max Crosby played 82 snaps last week as a defensive end, and they were 82 of the best snaps they've ever seen. That was a Sunday night game. Now you have a Saturday afternoon game. I think that's a tough draw for them going all the way across the country. Some of their defensive backs played 90 snaps in that game. Other pass rushers, again, huge snap totals, and you got to play on a short week. I'm like a snap total guy. I think it really does matter. When you remember me after I'm gone, just remember, oh, Greg, yeah, he was a big snap total guy.
The snap total guy. I mean, Greg, I'm with you. I think also the emotional weight of that game in certain scenarios, you wonder if there'd be a little bit of a flat situation for the Raiders, but it's a kind of question that we wouldn't ask Max Crosby in person, because he'll tell you he's totally ready. This guy is like from the forest. He was a total warrior in that game, and I don't think you're going to get some sort of one-third version of him. That said, Greg, it was an emotionally spending game, no doubt about it.
It's a rest test.
It would be. I know it's cool about the snap count, but we also tend to look at some of these players through the prism of ourselves as old dads, for instance. Like, oh, he must be tired. He must need 2 Advil when he wakes up for his sore back. This guy is not human, and there's not going to be any issue with being flat because they just won basically 4 playoff games to get here, and now they're in the dance, and nobody believes in the Raiders, and maybe people do. Maybe we're going to do some picks in a few minutes, but they are going to go into Cincinnati free and loose, and I feel like watch how this game starts, because if Cincinnati's a little tight and the Raiders go in there saying, hey, nobody thought we'd make it here, let's have some fun. Crosby does some damage. Look at their pass rush. We talked about that. They do damage without having a blitz. Joe Burrow is going to have to watch out for that.
Yeah, Ngakoue is a huge factor, too. And I asked that about Crosby because this has been a defensive team over the last 5 weeks. That's why they've won these games. Derek Carr hasn't played quite as well, but that defense, Ngakoue, Crosby, the rest of that line's been awesome.
Good call. I worry about Derek Carr. He sneaky had a bad game on Sunday night, made that big throw to set up the win in overtime. All right, let's now move to the other team involved in this game, Greggy, the Cincinnati Bengals.
So this is Westivus, and if you haven't listened to our podcast over the years, Westivus was a celebration our great friend Chris Wessling had every Saturday afternoon in the wild card round when Andy Dalton would make it year after year. They always stick Cincinnati in that early spot, but you know what? Westivus was when the Bengals would lose. This is a new era for Westivus. This has got Joe Burrow. He's not worried about what's happened in the past. He's got a group around him as talented as any skill position group in the entire league. They shouldn't be putting the Bengals early. Maybe it's just like one last Westivus until they graduate to primetime, because this is a primetime team, Mark.
Yeah, the thing also is that Joe Burrow is the kind of quarterback that Wes would have fallen in love with to such a high degree after what he's done this season. This is not what he was referring to when Wes created this dense binder explaining why he was leaving his Bengals fandom behind. That had a lot to do with ownership. Ownership is still an issue to some degree, but look at this roster. Look at the quarterback. There's no ceiling. I don't agree that they're going to be flat this weekend either. I think you're going to get a Bengals team that is ready to roll.
Ooh, look at that movement.
Well, whoa. Nobody said the Bengals would be flat in this game. They're a bunch of young kids playing in the postseason, but there could be some tightness that comes along with that. They're favored to win. They're in their building. We now assume that they are a superpower, but we've been down that road before as well. So I don't want to throw cold water on Cincinnati, but I do think it's possible, given the way this game sets up, that the Raiders go in free and easy. Cincinnati's a little tight, and all of a sudden it's 10-3 at the end of the first quarter, and the Bengals are like, oh, wow, we got to get going here. I think that's in play here a little bit. By the way, it's true about Joe Burrow, too. Like, he was 5 when Carson Palmer got his knee blown up in the 2005 playoffs or whatever. So they don't know about the Bengals' history, and that's good.
It is, and you could even say the ownership situation, maybe it's helping the Bengals. They have no indoor practice facility, so they've had to practice in the freezing cold all week. It's going to be cold for this game. They're ready for it.
Tough kids.
All right, let's pick the game. So, like I said, I think this sets up well, and I love the people of Cincinnati, Chris, all his brothers back home, but I like the Raiders in the upset. There's going to be some weird upsets this week. That's the way the season has went. I think the Raiders got this one. They're going to shock the world.
I got the Bengals 27-20. I'm putting a score in there. I like the fact that you can't cover Chase and T. Higgins. One of those guys is going to be matched up against either Desmond Trufant or Brandon Faison, and that is a mismatch, and Joe Burrow hunts mismatches.
I am also going Cincinnati. This is the end of a really interesting and wonderful season for the Raiders. But the Bengals, weeks ago, I sort of told you I thought they were going to drop bombs on people. Then they got mashed. I looked like a loser. But they're back, and look where they are now, and I'm going to take it.
Mark's trying to rebound from that take slump he had.
Terrible take slump.
That take slump in December, they will be taught. They will write books about that. But you want to score, by the way, 26-23. I got a very close game. We'll see what happens. Let's move on now to the 8:15 primetime game on Saturday, and it's the completion of the trilogy. Oh, my goodness. The Buffalo Bills welcome the New England Patriots into their house. It's going to be frigid in Western New York. What's that going to mean for the game? We'll find out. These teams, of course, split matchups. And my feeling about this game, and let's start from the Patriots side of things. Let's say Mac Jones, doomed. You know the teen slasher in the film says, I'll be right back, never comes back. He ain't coming back from Western New York, at least not as an active NFL player this season. If you watch Mac Jones's last 4 or 5 weeks, he was not a middling quarterback. He was a problem for the Patriots if you throw out the 50 burger against the Jaguars, which I pretty much do. He struggled against elite competition, and I think what this is setting up in a really bad way because Buffalo has the elements in their favor, the home crowd, and Jones is just not ready for this defense, which is very good.
You cannot do what you did in Miami a week ago if you're Mac Jones. You put him in a hole they couldn't get out of. It was one of the sloppier Patriots games I've seen. But there's another horror film trope as well, the bad guy that won't die. And when I think of bad guy that won't die, I think of Bill Belichick and the Patriots in freezing cold weather, putting it to the Bills. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but I don't view the Bills as the bad guy that won't die.
Ooh.
It's definitely Belichick and the evil empire.
Wait, you're the Belichick guy. What makes him a bad guy? Why are you saying that about
I'm saying
Bill?
the perception, if you think of like who's the bad guy that would get booed any stadium he's at, it's Belichick. He walks by those Lions fans in that one clip, and they have their hands out to want to touch him and give him a high five. He just says, forget about it, pal.
I mean, the Mac Jones comparison works in terms of the doomed teen because he looks like a doomed teen still. Like, he needs to work out a little more, getting into the off-season program, maybe grow some facial hair. And I don't like the idea they're just leaving him behind in Buffalo. I don't think Bill Belichick will do that, even though he has struggled. And you're right, this is a tough matchup, a rookie quarterback against a top-ranked defense. He's made enough plays in these games to believe that he can have one highly managed defensive type of game where Ramondre Stevenson and Kendrick Bourne, guys like that, do some of the heavy lifting for the kid.
I don't mean they're actually going to physically leave him there. Like, his football remains will be at the Buffalo morgue. It's not like they still like him. It's just going to be a tough Saturday night. All right, let's pick this game. I think you can guess where I'm going with this. I think this is going to get away from the Patriots. It's still been a positive season for them overall, but I think the Bills win this one, let's say 31-10.
Wow. I got to admit, I don't feel great about this as a Patriots fan, but I'm taking them to win Anyways, in Buffalo, I do think the weather might be an equalizer in terms of becoming a coaching game. And in a coaching game, one day, one game, single elimination. I still like Bill Belichick. 20-19, the same score he beat the Bills by when he was the Giants' defensive coordinator in the Super Bowl.
Well, Greg has told us behind the scenes that he doesn't really feel confident about picking the Patriots, his favorite team. I'm going to help him out here. I'm picking the Patriots. Ooh. I feel extremely confident. A score, I'll cook it up out of nowhere. 23-22. How do you like that?
I do like that. I do like that a lot.
I like to please you.
Good. Very good. All right. We're just getting started here on the broadcast. Coming up next, we dig into Sunday. Eagles, Bucks, Niners, Cowboys. We have it all to break down, and we got that coming up next right here on the broadcast. Welcome back to the broadcast. And again, why are they there and I'm here? I said, I'm not coming in. They said, all right, give him what he wants. He's a monster.
I mean, if I did that.
At that stage.
If I did that, you'd be all over me. If I say, I'm just going to stay home, it's Friday morning, Saturday morning, I'm going to do what I please, and did it from my house, eating nice crumpets and drinking coffee, you'd be killing me.
I'm a hypocrite.
Well, it's absurd.
Let's get into the Sunday games, and the Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Bay Bucks have a 1 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. Greggy, get us going on the Eagles.
Yeah, I just want to direct this one right back at you, Dan. The Eagles are not the NFC version of the Dolphins. You think, they haven't beaten any winning teams. It's like, hey, you got to play the schedule that's in front of you in the second half of the team. This team was dynamic, and they're not the NFC Dolphins, Dan, because they have a quarterback who's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league and is a lot more talented as a pure passer than America realizes. They're going to realize it on Sunday.
Speaking of tropes, you can only play the schedule in front of you. Well, that's true. But this is a team that has not been proven at all this year to be able to handle true competition. That's what it comes down to. Now, is it out of the realm of possibility that Jalen Hurts, with his ability to make plays with his legs, if his ankle allows it here, is somebody who could get this game interesting in the same way that Taylor Heineke got the wild card game against the Bucks interesting last January? Yes, it's in play, but there's also, when you look at how the season went down, Mark, down the stretch where they won 4 straight against 3 of the worst teams in football, sweeping Washington within that stretch. To me, it spoke to a team that's better than all the bad teams, but not in the same class of any of the good ones, and Tampa Bay is a great one.
I would say what Bruce Arians said, that this is a completely different team than the one they faced back in October. And it is, because they completely metamorphosized who they are. They changed entirely, and I think you can find a way to run on this Bucs defense. I know that we thought there's such a great run defense, and they are between the tackles, but you can find spaces outside. They're 30th in the league in terms of defending the run outside the tackles. That's a Jalen Hurts hotspot right there.
Woo. Yeah, that's the difference between them and the Dolphins, too, is because they're an offensive team. I get that's where I have a problem. I like teams in the playoffs that have a good offense. This is maybe the #1 running game in the entire league. And like I said, I think Hurts can spin it a little better than people realize.
You know what? When we get to the picks in a few minutes, you better be picking those Eagles.
No, I'm just saying that they're not the Dolphins. They're losing 34-3 to the Titans. Come on.
All right, well, we shall see. All right, let's hit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Greg.
Yeah, one of the X factors for this Bucs team is, will the injured players that are returning be how they normally were? JPP, okay, he hasn't been great this year anyways, but Shaq Barrett, Levante David, and Leonard Fournette. These aren't just guys coming off of injury. These are 3 of the 8 or 9 most valuable players on their team. Their defensive line relied on Shaq Barrett throughout the playoffs last year. Levante David, their defense wasn't the same when he returned. This is a serious injury, and Leonard Fournette was the most productive pass-catching back in the league. So, to me, I think the Eagles are catching the Bucs at a good time, because if these players return, I think they'll be better in a week or 2 with some extra reps than they will be this week.
Not to mention the guys that aren't going to be there, the Antonio Browns. It's like this is a different team than they were even a month ago, and they're compromised. And I do think it's, whether it's the Eagles or someone next week, missing out on that bye hurt this team, because it's someone like Shaq Barrett especially. Some of these guys coming back from the COVID list, they'll tell you themselves, it's just not their normal body. They're not all the way back right away. I think that's a huge impact. And again, you need all these defensive guys to stop this run-heavy team.
I think they're better without Antonio Brown, but I understand the point there. I thought seeing Mike Evans look healthy and dominating in the final game of the regular season, that really set my mind at ease that this offense is going to be fine, because Gronk, who had 150 yards receiving in Week 18, he's looking great. You still have Evans, and Fournette, I think, is a key, because you're right. These guys that come back, yes, they're playing because it's a playoff game. Are they actually healthy? Is Fournette going to be limping to the sidelines midway through the first quarter? These are concerns, obviously, but at the same time, there's just so much here to look at and like, including how dominant Tampa Bay has been at home. And also, oh yeah, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback ever, maybe the MVP once again at 44 years old.
Yeah, it's more the defense that I'm a little concerned that they're not as dominant. They were kind of the unit that carried them in the playoffs last year, but you make a good point, Tom. Terrific.
All right, and that, with that in mind, Slaughter, this is going to be 38-17. The Eagles, hey, it's still a positive season for them with Nick Sirianni. I think they are smart enough to understand that Jalen Hurts deserves a little rope here to develop next year, but this is not going to be their night.
I got the Bucs winning this game ultimately, 28-24. So I think the Eagles end up covering this 8.5-point spread. But I have Tom Brady as my #1 quarterback in the league, the MVP. This is the guy that turns Brashad Perriman into an All-Pro, and he's going to do something like that when it comes down to it in the fourth quarter on Sunday.
Well, I really wish I could go out on a limb here and pick the Eagles, but I just can't do that. I'm going to pick the same score that happened earlier in the year, though. 28-22. It's going to be a potentially rainy, windy day. It's going to be kind of an ugly game, but the Bucs get out of here.
So essentially, it is the same team.
That's the thing. It's two very different teams, but the result will be exactly the same. Very paradoxical, very strange.
All right, let's move on to the middle game Sunday. And to me, this is the game I'm most looking forward to, at least in the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers, fresh off that incredible comeback against the Rams in Week 18, get the Cowboys at Jerry World. Mark, why don't you tee this one up, starting with the Niners?
The Niners. For me, it's a door number 1, ecstasy, door number 2, Garoppolo scenario. I mean, I don't know how else to look at the Niners. They're such an interesting,
Garoppolo.
Exactly, creative, original team under Kyle Shanahan. I think they're very hard to defend. But with Jimmy G, because you see kind of clean Jimmy G and sometimes dirty Jimmy G in games, sometimes within the same half. And it's like what version of Jimmy G shows up? I just don't know how else to look at this game, honestly, because you're going to have to score points against this Cowboys offense, and you're playing a really good defense. And I think Jimmy G is someone that they can victimize with turnovers. In the games they've won, all of them, he had 4 total. In the games they lost, he had 11. And you watch him turning Kyle Shanahan's face beat red a couple weeks ago because of some of those gaffes.
I want to know what Mark envisions as a dirty Jimmy G.
Well, that's up to the viewer to decide.
I would say Google him.
Yes, that would be your next move.
Yeah, that's fair. He's been fine. And I just think this is an offense that is used to being physically dominant. Their offensive line pushed the Rams around a week ago. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, they're just bigger and tougher than their opponents. I don't think they will be on Sunday. This is such a great matchup of just pure athletes on both sides of the ball when the Cowboys defense is on the field. It's a rare team. I don't think the 49ers are more talented than them, and that's why I like the Cowboys at least to hold up and really make it tough for Jimmy G to score.
This has been, not quietly, but maybe it's been a little bit underappreciated how special Deebo Samuel's season has been for the 49ers. What he's done has been completely unique, and his dominance and the way he's just like a pit bull with that ball in his hands, and he's so fast too. And I get excited for this idea of Micah Parsons against Deebo Samuel, but I don't think they're going to stop him. And I think Jimmy G, just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. I agree. It's on Jimmy G. Is he going to blow it for them? Or just do his job? Game manager, that's what they need here. Now, let's move to the Cowboys. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, I'm going to use a Danism here. No tight butts, please, Dallas. And what I mean by that, I think we all know what I mean.
Context, please.
Yeah, this is a star-studded team. I mean, all over the place. A team like this on paper does not come around that often. And yet, over the past couple months, we've been a little mystified by their up-and-down nature. And some of that had to do, I think, with the calf injury for Dak Prescott and linemen being out left and right. But you've got almost everyone right now. And at this point, if you can't go into a game like this and be the best version of the Cowboys, I mean, we're going to get the 5-hour-long offseason press conferences from Jerry Jones panning over to the Super Bowl trophies no matter what they do. But it is time. This Cowboys team feels different to me. I'm asking you, please, no tight butts, play loose, drop bombs.
It's a great call because I don't think I could deal with it. All these years, the 25 years now without a Super Bowl appearance, and we always kind of like going into this season, I was like, I'm not going to get sucked in by the Cowboys this year. And then they turned out to be a really good, exciting team. But wouldn't it be so Dallas to then lay an egg in the playoffs and none of it really mattered? And we're right back to the start with Jared giving a long press conference next summer about how amazing this team is. How about we go on a playoff run here? How about we stop being this team that's only a bully against bad football teams, and then whenever someone tough comes into their building, like the Cardinals did 2 weeks ago, and knock them off, like, show me that you could beat a good team. Show me that you're a real contender.
Yeah, I was at that game when they lost to the Packers as a 1 seed, and there's just so many playoff disappointments with this Cowboys team that almost felt like they skipped the whole believing in their hype in the offseason this year and started to believe it at midseason. And yet I just believe in the matchups in terms of Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb being great. The 49ers defense is last in the league in defending passes over 15 yards. So this is a Dak bombs away type of game, and I think he's got the right coordinator in Kellen Moore to be aggressive. I don't expect any Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard running the ball in this game. It's all throws.
All right, let's pick this game. And I don't like where the Cowboys vibe is right now. I'm not feeling the Cowboys.
Whoa.
And I think we're going to get those Jared Jones press box or the luxury suite cutaways, or he's pensively holding his glasses. I like the Niners in this one. Let's say 28-24.
Wow. I've got a 24-20 Cowboys. It's partly just because everyone's picking the 49ers this week, and it just feels like the Cowboys are such a talented team that a lot of prognosticators are overlooking, and this is what I want to happen. This is what the NFL should want to happen. It would be fun to see the Cowboys next week.
Shot
so
at
I'm
me.
going to pick it.
Well, no doubt the NFL wants it to happen, but I don't want it to happen. I'm going Niners. It's going to be 27-24 in overtime, an absolute classic that leaves us breathless.
Wow.
Or something close to that.
The pause before breathless was
Everything
breathless.
that I'm asking to happen will not happen. I've already learned that.
Now you've said that, it's going to be 6-2 final. All right, let's now move on. We got 2 more games to get to, but coming up next, Steelers Chiefs, the zombie Steelers, they're still alive. How is that even possible? We're talking about the Steelers in the playoffs up next on the broadcast. Welcome back to the broadcast. We got one more Sunday game to talk about. It's prime time, baby, and it's the Steelers and Chiefs. Let's get into the Steelers side of this first. Boys, they're in the playoffs. Like, I'm still wrapping my head around this. It doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't be in the playoffs. Like, there was an update a couple days ago how Juju Smith-Schuster was designated to return from injured reserve, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll see you in September, bro. It's like, no, because he could potentially play this weekend. He's probably not, by the way, but it's just amazing that they got to this point, and I guess it's all gravy now, right, Greg? Like, isn't this just a team that if they can just hang in this game and Big Ben gets to go out with dignity, it's kind of successful for what it was?
Sure. But when Ben Roethlisberger was trying to sound all sarcastic about, well, no one's giving us a chance and we're playing the greatest team ever, so we should just go have fun. It sounded like he believed it a little too much. When he was on the sidelines last week, I think he wouldn't have minded that Colts winning that game and just finishing his career by knocking out the Browns and the Ravens season like he has so many times before. Instead, he's going to have to go against a defense which just embarrassed him 3 weeks ago. If nothing else, that's an advantage for Pittsburgh. I think if you get mollywopped and then you get to play the team again 3 weeks later, it's the NFL. It's tough to do that 2 times in a row.
I do get concerned when, like, everyone in the country says A is going to happen, because then usually B happens. I mean, here's the thing, though. Kansas City, you're looking at a Steelers team that, Dan, you've called them like the living dead at this point. They gave up 249 yards on the ground to Baltimore a week ago. I know Kansas City would rather throw the ball, but how about you soften this Steelers defense up a little, soften their bellies, and then you whip the kill shots and put them to bed.
Soften their bellies.
Can I tell you something, Greg? I thought I would say no to the Seahawks, Mac Jones or Russell Wilson take was your worst take of the year. But your take that Big Ben doesn't want to be in the playoffs is by far your worst. And I know what you're doing. It's a little petty
He's
shot.
He's already retired. He's been retiring for weeks. His mind is elsewhere.
You want Big Ben to be such a slug that he doesn't even want to be playing this week because you don't like the guy, and that's fine. But of course he's happy to be in the playoffs.
Well, he's playing like a guy that's retired the last couple of weeks. It's not like he's playing well.
I will not argue that. Let's look at the Chiefs side of things. And I'll just say this. Do you still trust the Chiefs? Where are we at, Mark, right now in terms of how you feel about this version of the Chiefs, this Patrick Mahomes era, which has been obviously magnificent now going on 4 years? To me, this is the first time where maybe because they got such a great draw here in the Steelers, I feel really confident this week. But after this, it gets pretty dicey for me. I don't feel the same way. How about you?
I think we're on the same wavelength here. I don't trust them to be last year's Chiefs or the Chiefs from the year prior, but I do trust them to have the best coach in a number of these games in the AFC, the best quarterback, the best wide receiver, the best tight end, and a good defense. And I kind of look around the AFC and feel that almost any one of these AFC teams could be picked off. So a lot of it has to do with the field they're in, that I think Kansas City, without being at the heights they were at previously, could be a team that still gets to the AFC title game and beyond.
I trust their offense. I've gone all the way back around that the way Patrick Mahomes is playing right now, I think he's as comfortable and making as good decisions as he has all year. I think the offensive line was fixed. I think this is a game where you'll see that they can run the ball. Even if they don't have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think they'll run all over Pittsburgh. It's a great group up front. The thing that worries me, Dan, that I don't trust is their defense again. Their performance in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season got me thinking, maybe we got fooled a little bit here because in man coverage against the Bengals, they stunk, and they weren't very good against Denver either. It was really about Drew Lock missing those throws, or else the Broncos could have won that game.
Is anybody else a little bit spooked by this Tyreek Hill heel injury too? I mean, he got hurt in warm-ups last Sunday. He was limping around the field, play limited snaps. It's been a little under the radar because they are not the same team if he's going to be compromised.
No, I like what I saw out of Byron Pringle, like late in the year. I like that they're getting different, production. That's what they need to win a Super Bowl. But that all just assumes that Tyreek Hill is the number one guy and Travis Kelce is who he is. Without that, they're nothing.
Mark, do you like Pringles, by the way?
Pringles? Oh, I love them. The thing is, you open up the canister and I eat the entire thing, and suddenly it's like, that wasn't the plan.
All right, good answer. Let's get to the picks. This is a romp. This is the Chiefs by 3 scores.
Ooh. I've got a similar score here. I think I had 35-17. It cracked me up when Patrick Mahomes said they hadn't had a complete game all year, and they were ahead 33-3 last time they played each other when Mahomes left the game.
I mean, I'm making these scores up on the fly, but I'm going 44-21.
Let's do it.
And that means the Chiefs.
Right. Yes.
That's a lot of points for this version of the Steelers, but we'll see who shows up. The zombie Steelers are very hard to kill. We are hard to kill. Great Steven Seagal film, 1990.
Yeah.
Let's now move on. We have one more game to talk about. The Cardinals and Rams, 2 NFC West teams that enter the playoffs at a bit of a confidence crisis, perhaps. We'll dig in up next on the broadcast. Ma, relax. I'll bring the laundry up after my show. God,
It's so real to life.
it's coming. Anyway, welcome back to the broadcast. Stan Hansis here with Greg Rosenthal, Mark Sessler. Boys, we got one more game to get to. It is Monday Night Football in the playoffs. That's fun. The Arizona Cardinals and Rams get us going with the Cards, Mr. Sessler.
What a game it is. When I think about the Cardinals, it's like zoinks. Holy fade job, Batman. I mean, this team, this was a pet team of mine. You know that. I have a few of them, but they really captured my heart. But they're like a pet that ran
a zoo.
I have a zoo, and it's like a zoo that ran into the woods away from me, and I can't find them. I want to know, though, is there possibly a Monday night surprise in the works? Will this Cardinals team, can they, is it possible they wake from this slumber? I know no DeAndre Hopkins has been killing them. Kyler Murray's looked, problematic, confused at times, great at others behind an offensive line that's a little shaky. Is this thing over? Or is there another chapter to be told for the Cardinals? Greg.
This Cliff Kingsbury offense has struggled in the second half of the season every year in Arizona. It's almost like what they were doing in the first half, defense has caught up to it, and there was no adjusting back. The bigger problem, too, is that they're not as diverse. They were a great running team. They were a great pass protecting team. I always thought that was the secret sauce in Arizona, is that quietly, without spending a lot of money, they were great up front. They have not been lately. And I think the way to beat this Rams team is by running the ball. And this defensive line for the Rams is good. You're going to have to protect Murray. I just don't see this Cardinals offensive line doing that on Monday night.
The Zoinks holy fade, Batman, that your Gen X is showing there, Mr. Sessler, with the 1968 Batman.
Well, I'm not claiming that it's
there.
a modern relevant, it's not something from today.
But for the kids,
reference-wise.
there was a television series starring Adam West in which Batman was a tongue-in-cheek, almost cartoon character. Anyway, check it out. It's on YouTube. I think the Cardinals are in a lot of trouble. They need to look in the mirror after this offseason and figure out what we can do to make the offense better, because it fell apart without DeAndre Hopkins, with James Conner not 100% too. I just think they're going to continue to struggle to score points here. So, yes, I think the fade job will complete on Monday night. It just feels that's where we're headed.
Spoiler alert for your picks there.
Sad.
Oh, who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind in 2 minutes. How about the Rams side of things, Mark Sessler?
I don't know. It's like I drive around L.A. listening to a lot of L.A. sports radio, and I wanted to come up with a different topic here. I want to make it about something other than Matthew Stafford, because it could be about Aaron Donald and what he did to Kyler Murray and the Cardinals last time, 3 sacks, a total human destroyer. Maybe it could be about Sean McVay, that needs to embolden that Sean McVay brand needs to be lifted back up. It's in a tough spot right now. But for me, it always comes back to Matthew Stafford, because his great play makes them a Super Bowl team. His mistakes have unspooled them in a number of games. I just wonder if this is a game in prime time on Monday night where early Matthew Stafford mistakes cause a big problem, or will he be magic?
This defensive backfield for the Cardinals started out the season on fire, making big plays, being the type of group with Budda Baker and Byron Murphy especially, that could turn the ball over against Stafford and create problems and get everyone a little nervous in SoFi, but they haven't been that group for a while. They're a little short-handed at cornerback. I know that's the case for Arizona as well, but Stafford over the last month has had it all. Like, he had that magical game in Arizona. He had amazing throws against the 49ers, but then he had the turnovers as well. You're going to get it all. I think he's got a better team around him, though, than Kyler Murray does.
I've been a little surprised by how much fretting there's been about Matthew Stafford this season. Like, if you told us last summer, yes, he's going to start 17 games, he's going to throw for 4,900 yards, he's going to throw 41 touchdowns, he'll throw 17 picks, he'll have a passer rating over 103, you'll be like, oh my God, all right, this was a perfect move by the Rams. So yeah, while there's a possibility some of those turnovers crop up, they are such a better offense now with him. He's had such a good year for them, and I think he is going to play very well in this game because he's been waiting his whole career. I know he had a couple playoff games in the mix there for Detroit, but now he actually gets to do it for real, it feels like. And I don't think he's going to let the opportunity go by. I think he's just been such a great player in his career.
Well, no one's saying that they should have stuck with Jared Goff. I love the trade, and it's worked out for him, but he has had some killer mistakes, along with some incredible throws and great play. So I'm with Greg. It's a mixed bag, and a beautiful mixed bag.
All right, well, let's make our picks now with that in mind. Yeah, all the Stafford haters like Mark Sessler are going to be eating their words because he's thrown 4 touchdowns, and the Rams are rolling on.
Yeah, I like the Rams to win this game. I like them to cover that 4.5 points to going away, having a little hometown crowd here in L.A., unlike a week ago against the 49ers.
Well, Look what's happening here. I'm going Cardinals. And listen, I feel like the SoFi Stadium is 8 feet from our office, and so I'm going to get hit with a bow and arrow at some point walking to my car after all this business. But
You
I
are
just
a Rams
think
hater. You
I
are.
am not. I think they're a good team. The Cardinals have been my pet team. I need them to be a good pet. Go do a good thing now, please.
That's a lot of blind faith, asking them to be a good pet at this stage. All right. There you go. Feeling good. I like these games. Now, there's two teams that aren't playing this week by virtue of getting a bye with the number 1 seed. So let's dig in up next on the Packers and Titans. They're actually going to visit the set right now. Welcome back to the broadcast. Okay, so we went through the games of Super Wild Card Weekend. 2 teams to talk about, and I got a treat for you boys.
Please.
All right.
I mean, is it going to be yelling at your mom again, or what is it?
Your treats are not always our treats, but proceed.
Well, this one you're going to enjoy because I have the actual Packers and Titans right here, and you get a chance to talk to them. So I am now going to physically embody that. We'll start with the Packers. Hang on a second. When this card disappears, I will be the Packers, and
Look at that.
Wow, that's a whole team in one man.
relax. RELAX. Am I right? 8-0 at home at Lambeau. We're just chilling. We're feeling good. Ain't nobody going to break our stride. Ain't nobody going to slow us down. No. Tell me how I'm going to lose before the Super Bowl. I'm not. Do you think I'm scared of the Hollywood Rams or the artist formerly known as the Cardinals or the Niners with their crooked-thumbed quarterback with the suspect Google history? Yeah, I'm a little afraid of Tom Brady. But besides that, I'm relaxed.
Here's how you lose. You've practiced doing it so often in January. Like, no one is better at losing in Lambeau in January than you. It's what you do.
This is different. This is totally different. Everything's set up so much better. We're not afraid of anybody to come into our building. And have you seen how I've been playing in the last half of the season? I'm Aaron Rodgers as well. I'm the entire Packers. Makes sense. And by the way, my toe feels good as hell.
I mean, I'd ask you this as a full team from what I'm hearing in this one-on-one.
Good as hell.
Well, this one-on-one, it's like, is there maybe an issue of overconfidence? Are you even going to practice for any of these ham and eggers that are coming into your building?
Confidence is, not an issue Overconfidence. I believe in myself. I believe in this team. I still don't like my general manager. Doesn't matter. That's fine. We're going. All right. That's it. You ready? That's the Packers.
Okay, that was an experience.
That was Oscar worthy.
Now, the Titans.
Oh, look at that. It's true to life.
Get ready. Get ready. I know you guys aren't excited that we're here, but I'm here. And get ready for a lot of games with 580 yards of combined offense and some 17-13 wins.
We're supposed to get excited about that in the playoffs. Mr. Titan, I guess I would ask you this. Isn't this an offensive league? And among these AFC teams, don't you have less offensive firepower ultimately than the rest of the top contenders?
Yes, we do, but it doesn't matter because we find a way. We're playoff tested. We're battle hardened. We're getting healthier. And guess what? You guys are like, oh, Derrick Henry's coming back. We're going to be so much more exciting to watch now. Guess what? Playboy hasn't played in like 2.5 months. He's not even going to be that good. So you don't even get that. We're going to be boring, and we're going to get W's.
All right. Because I have such an inside source here, I would like to ask, is Lauren Tannehill still miffed at me for stepping on her purse and clearly crushing something inside of it at NFL Honors about 5 years ago? Or are we good?
She doesn't think about you ever. And guess what? When the Chiefs are on the schedule next, guess what? You guys are all going to go, oh, but I think the difference in this game is Patrick Mahomes. And you'll be right, because then we're going to lose.
Oh, okay.
Has been a nice little
Very
glow-up
honest
for Ryan and Lauren, but I guess it's only going to last a few more minutes.
I'm back.
Whew.
How'd that go? I wasn't there. I was up doing some laundry.
It was destabilizing. I mean, without Dan, it just didn't feel like this was around the NFL.
We learned a lot. We also learned very little.
All right. Well, that's our show in a nutshell, whether I'm here or not. All right. Let's close out the show as we always do. Weekend vibes. There he is. What does Rich Bisaccia have to do to keep his job? We'll talk about that man next. All right, we close things out with weekend vibes. Greg, get us going, baby.
I want to be the first person to congratulate Aaron Rodgers on winning the 2021 MVP. I know we get all dressed up for NFL honors, and that's the last award, and let's, raised the tension. Well, he won the Associated Press All-Pro First Team vote by a score of 34 votes for Rodgers, 16 for Tom Brady. It's the exact same voters on the exact same form filling out MVP, and so he's going to win the MVP. What, you think they're giving it to Jonathan Taylor after they got squashed by the Jaguars? No way.
No, of course not.
It's over.
Yeah,
He
but
won.
Crazy.
Yeah, but what if they give him the All-Pro nod to set up Tom Brady to get MVP?
That would be weird. Why would you do that?
All right, Mark, how about you?
All right, so Dick Butkus, one of the greatest legends of all time, is having a tough time getting verified on Twitter. He has been in a battle for days here, and they're saying basically your account has not been verified, and he is sending them links to his IMDb page,
Mopes.
his website. He says, what are these mopes? What kind of mopes are running this thing? Now, he also said, I'll be back verified. I'm noting, though, also that the Bears don't follow him. So, potential fake news. I'm going to be on the case, and I'll bring an update later.
Wait, the Bears don't follow Dick Butkus?
I think if it's him, he's just having a tough time getting going here on the Twitter, and then soon, all will be corrected potentially if it's him.
Hey, Bears, clean it up. Let's start there. All right, I'll close it out. I just want to say I respect the hell out of the facial hair of Rich Bisaccia. Can we just? This is an ode to that man's goat. Look how that is neatly manicured. That is like a Major League Baseball stadium where they take care of the grass. Like, this man puts a lot of effort into that goatee, and I don't know if we get to see it again after this week. We don't know about his future, but look how well-groomed that is, and I just respect it.
If you combine that goatee with Matt LaFleur's eyebrows, it'd be like the perfect face.
Very sharp.
Not easy to pull off a goatee. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the playoff football. We'll see you next week. Mom, coming!